the next Zach Wilson or the next Kyler Murray, just how good is JJ McCarthy.
JJ McCarthy again. You'll see it. The ball jumps out of his hand. It's just real.
The first thing with JJ McCarthy is he has a great arm. First of all, he has a fast and a tight spiral. He can narrow these throws into tight windows through tight crevices, and it's amazing how much velocity he has in the throws and how accurate he can be sometimes, especially over the middle. You can see just firing it in. He has a fast, tight spiral on his throws, so he can master the deep ball, but especially the intermediate with the timing routes, layering it over defenders. As you can see, he has an underrated arm. People say he has a weak arm. Clearly not, watching these clips. He can fire it into tight windows. He threw 61 miles per hour at the combine, and that shows through these clips. He has a very good ball, and with a short accuracy here, that's a hard ball, and it might not look hard, but it's hard. So that's short accuracy, but even deep accuracy. He can throw a tight spiral. In preseason, that skill has only continued. It's his last preseason, but he can still throw the deep ball. But one of the weaknesses of JJ McCarthy is his deep ball, in my opinion. It's not as accurate as it can be, and it's something that it can be worked on. He is very accurate short and intermediate. In terms of the deep ball, there's tons of work that can still be done to improve it. And obviously, he can still fire it into those tight windows. And it's amazing, but the deep ball needs still a ton of work, in my opinion.
Four-man rush on 3rd and 25. Out of the pocket, McCarthy keeps the play alive. Long throw across the field. He drops it in!
Now we're going to touch on JJ McCarthy's creativity, especially out of the pocket, throwing on the run. And I think this is the strongest part of JJ McCarthy's game. When you talk about Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, now Brock Purdy showing that creativity out of the pocket, it's a trait that's not valued enough among quarterbacks. And JJ McCarthy has it. Look at the creativity to escape from the pocket. He was elite on third downs. And that's the play extension part where it really shows. He has great poise and movement in the pocket. He has great pocket presence, great throw on the run, great accuracy on the throw on the run, great athleticism to do it. He had a 79.2 on target rate outside of the pocket. And that shows. He's one of those quarterbacks who may actually be better outside of the pocket instead of inside the pocket. And that obviously shows. But sometimes his accuracy can be poor on the run, as you can see there, as you can see here, getting intercepted, just lapses of accuracy. So he's young, he can obviously improve that, but there can be lapses.
Pete, Ben Tatum and I yesterday, they're looking to run a lot, but also do this, get McCarthy out on the edge.
Next, we'll be talking about JJ McCarthy's processing or anticipation. Obviously, this is another strength of his game, I feel. Not as good as the out-of-the-pocket ability, but another excellent ability. He can fit into tight windows, as I said earlier, with great velocity on his throws. He can throw under pressure, which is another great attribute. Pressure in his fades, he can still make the tightest of throws, not affected over it. I think he's great, or borderline off the charts processor of the ball. That's where some of the Dak Prescott, Brock Purdy comparisons I've mentioned are shown. I think he needs to work through them sometimes, speed him up a little bit. Obviously, he can throw through the tightest of windows. And he's also very young, so there's tons of development that can happen here. But there is some work that needs to be done. As you can see in his preseason game and the Maryland game, which was his worst game, he struggled very badly sometimes to read and anticipate and process the field. Now, obviously, I said he's very young, and the offense at Michigan wasn't very quarterback friendly. But he wasn't very good in the big games, TCU, Alabama playoffs, and now the Maryland game. Sometimes against the bigger competition, his anticipation would shrink. And he is still young, as I said before, and he has great timing, great anticipation. But there's still work that needs to be done. As you can see here, with Maryland clutching the ball 3 times there. It's not good.
Here's Corum! And Corum, what a move! Corum, he needs a block! Corum, down the sideline! Blake Corum!
Next, we'll be talking about JJ McCarthy's athleticism. Now, he has had that big injury, so I'm not sure how that will translate to his athleticism. But all I can talk about is the Michigan tape, and the athleticism I think is very underrated. Was very underrated at Michigan. And some of the Kyler Murray comments I brought up were because of that. I think he's more athletic than Brock Purdy. I think a lot more athletic than some of these Dak Prescott I mentioned. I think he has very sneaky athleticism. You know, there's a play at Michigan where he outran Nolan Smith. He had one throwaway in playing 23. So he trusts it, he banks on it. It's very underrated. I think he's a borderline amazing athlete. The way he can run is very Kyler Murray-esque. He's super quick, super twitchy, has brilliant agility, I feel. Can avoid tackles, knows when to slide, knows when to get out of bounds. Obviously smart. He had a 4.47 40 time. You know, that's great because Kyler Murray's was a 4.44. But obviously, we don't know too much because of the injury he has right now. Now, I feel he's a brilliant scrambler of the ball. He knows when to get down, knows when to slide. And I think, look at this, Alabama can still beat them with his mobility and throwing on the run. Again, brilliant throwing out the run, brilliant out of the pocket. At the very least, it's Russell Wilson's speed, Kyler Murray's speed, as I say. And maybe with the injury, it'll be a little bit worse, but it'll still be Brock Purdy as. Look at that, just throwing across his body. Not many quarterbacks can do that. Look at this, sprinting away from defenders. And here, Michigan avoiding the pressure, juking out defenders, then running. This is an amazing clip. Reminds me of Kyler.
Pete, Ben Tatum, and I yesterday, they're looking to run a lot, but also do this. Get McCarthy out on the edge on some boots.
Now, I've been mentioning comps throughout this whole video, as you've heard. Brock Purdy, Kyler Murray, and Dak Prescott. I think those are the 4 main comps. And you've seen that through the visuals. First, we'll go to Brock Purdy. I think this is the early career comp as I wrote for Brock Purdy. I think early on in his career, you expect the Brock Purdy, Bo Nix, quick transition to the NFL, quick brilliance. As you can see, can layer throws all over, can great anticipation, great touch at times, a bit poor of a deep ball. I think this is very realistic to expect. Moving on to Kyler Murray, the athleticism, the throwing outside the pocket, the creativity outside the pocket. I think this looks like JJ McCarthy, I'll be real. And JJ McCarthy is taller. He has just about as good as an arm, and he's a very similar athlete. He can be Kyler Murray at his best. I think that's the ceiling for JJ McCarthy. Obviously, maybe a bit less athletic, but Kyler right now is less athletic than he was in his prime. So I think it's a very good comp. And lastly, Dak Prescott. When you talk about the anticipation, he can move too, Dak Prescott. So maybe that's not a bad comp in terms of the athleticism. But talking about the throw, the anticipation, over the middle of the field, the accuracy, which is excellent with Dak Prescott. I think a combination of these 3 players is where JJ McCarthy lands. And he is just a brilliant quarterback. To combine the traits of these guys, maybe people feel this is disrespectful. I don't. Obviously, anticipation over the middle, as you can see here, throwing in the tightest of windows, I think it's an excellent comp to add to the other Brock Purdy and Kyler Murray. So in summary, I feel JJ McCarthy is an excellent prospect. Give him a 79 overall grade coming into his rookie season. I think that's how he'll perform, like a Bo Nix, Brock Purdy, more athletic Brock Purdy, more draw power Brock Purdy. I think that'll be what he does immediately when he enters the NFL. And later as he develops his career, develop that deep accuracy, becomes more consistent in his processing, I think we'll see a Kyler Murray, Dak Prescott hybrid later on in his career. I thank you guys for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And it's been fun doing this. Subscribing would help me very much. So please like and please subscribe. Thank you.